hired a large team of people. I think they said like 40 or 50 people to kind of analyze this data set to kind of work out what were the outliers that achieved those types of returns. And they invested a lot of money in order to kind of to get this data. And I was just thinking this is literally the perfect thing to do that automation is suited for. So I spent the week building out a Airtable, basically investment finder. This is kind of a perfect example of just demonstrating the power of automation. And not only that, but how automation can be applied into almost anything. Things like this, there are APIs for financial data. There's APIs, there's a few out there, one like Seeking Alpha, another one called 12 Data. And I pieced a few of these different APIs together. I extracted the entire NASDAQ, every single listing, every ticker on the NASDAQ stock exchange. But you could also, I was just building this out to test it, but you could also do other stock exchanges within the US. You could look at doing micro caps. You could look at doing other countries. Like I was looking at doing the UK, perhaps Australia and Argentina as well. Argentina keeps coming up on my radar at the moment, actually. Dumped all of these into an Airtable, and you can just extract all of the data on APIs to work out all of these different ratios that they're using in 100 baggers to see which companies fit into this investment criteria. You could also use like the Richard Koch star principle that I mentioned, where you look for companies that are receiving 20% growth every single year, and it's a leader in its niche. It can all be automated. And so that's what I spent this week building out, gathering all of these ratios to basically find companies that fit within these investment principles from these books I was reading. And it's very, very easy to do within Airtable. You just need to know what are the specifics they're looking for in these companies, and you just apply filters in Airtable views. After reading that book, I built this out. It took me about a day to build, and I analyzed the 5,000 companies, turned me 8 companies that matched these investment criteria. And then I backdated that to work out if I had invested because I obviously only just built it. So I then added in all of the data, the historical data, up until 2019 to work out what would my returns have been if I'd invested in these companies 5 years ago. And it would have been 346%. On average, they were returning, I think it was 47% or something per year. There were a couple that did really, really well that got like 10x plus over that time period. There were a couple of losers. There was one company that went completely bankrupt, so that would have gone to zero. But the point is if you're going for these 100x companies, you only need to be right on like 1 out of 10 of them to just see insane returns. So again, I think this is like really, really interesting. So I'm expanding on this as well. I know that there are also like investment tools and for kind of doing stuff like this as well. But to be honest, I prefer to have complete control over the data because I can add in other things as well. So I had a few ideas when talking to a friend of mine. You could add in Google search data for these specific companies that you're tracking and having like keyword related, track keyword specific search terms related to this business. And if you start to see a breakout in a specific search term that company is able to capitalize on, or it could be the search term of the company itself, that could be a positive indicator. You can also extract and track all of the LinkedIn employees of that company, again, all automatically, just using LinkedIn APIs to look for any like kind of key changes or any like key hires that they make or people who left. You can also add in social media tracking.